Hi, welcome to another episode of Hot Takes. Why is Keir Starmer so intent on building up the rumours of war? Why is he so keen on using Russia as a reason to build up our armed forces, get in the necessary frame of mind for a war footing, etc.? Why is the UK government very seriously concerned about the potential for conflict? Because he knows, I think, it's coming. I think there is an acceptance, a realisation in government that the war is coming. And so they're prepping it. They want the troops up. They want the weapons. They want everything they can to fight a war. But don't be fooled into thinking they're fighting a war abroad. No. They're concerned about a civil war. They know that they have pushed the people of this country way beyond what is tolerable, and that the fuse is very short, and that this country is now a powder keg. But they're dressing it up as preparations for some foreign war. But that is a logically absurd point, because we're never going to fight a foreign war. The pretext is there. But there will be a land war in this country between us and them. But here's the thing. Who will the soldiers fight for? If a soldier is told, go on the streets and shoot your fellow Brits, will they be prepared to do that, knowing they're going to be shooting the relatives of other soldiers? Somebody's mother might get shot, somebody's father, brother, son. Will these soldiers then sit there and fire on the British people? Or will they do what they should do, which is about to turn and point their weapons in the correct direction? It's the first time, I think, in many, many years that we actively have to prepare for the possibility of the UK descending into anarchy. I would suggest the last time would have been 1920s. We'd had the First World War. A lot of people came back. They were very, very experienced in war. They knew how to use weapons, and they were angry with the way that Britain was going. There was revolutions all over the place, remember. The government was very, very, very concerned. Not kidding, it was almost a civil war back in the 1920s. But now the government are trying to bolster critical national infrastructure. They're trying to ensure that police are represented by the right people. Imagine, if you will, 1 million people march in London and they sent in policemen to try and do things. And the police tried to kettle us. Would it not be more telling if we remembered that we are many and they are few, and we kettled the police? And then watch as the politicians shit themselves knowing that the police are the ones kettled. Who's going to save the politicians then? Then they will call out the armed forces. Then they will have the army on the streets. Will the army shoot at the people? This is what they're preparing for. Make no bones about it. How do we know this? Because there's leaks. Long anticipated leaks. We knew they were coming. Academics who've been asked to prepare papers are now saying out loud what we've all suspected. Whitehall papers have been sort of questioned and pulled, and they're talking about internal threats. Concentration camps, they're not calling them that. They're calling them detention centres, but concentration camps nonetheless, to pull people, dangerous, surreptitious people like me, like Craig, like Preston. Put them all away. Andy the Gabby Cabby, he's in trouble. Paz 49, he's in trouble. We're all in trouble because all of us tell that thing that they hate so much. The truth. And we all know when it comes to war, the truth is the first casualty. I don't intend to be that casualty. I shall tell my truth from afar. But it's turning increasingly into Soviet Union here, Communist China, North Korea, call it what you will. But they're clamping down on the truth. They're clamping down on YouTubers. They're clamping down on people who call it as they see it. They're trying to mould the general public into thinking one thing when the reality is something else. The trouble is they don't realise that we all know. It's not the 1920s. You can't control the media. You can't control what people see and hear and do. Good luck with that. And as for putting the army on the streets, you haven't got much of an army, barely a battalion. You'd be spreading them very thin. And the first bullet would be the civil war in this country. And we know who's going to win that one. Thanks very much. Bye.